Good morning, everybody. My name is Jared O'Leary, and I've been drumming since 1998. I still got plenty of stuff to work on. Today, I'm going to be working on Flam taps. We're going to be refining it. In these live practice streams, I like to share what I'm working, how I work on stuff, as somebody who's been drumming for as long as I have. In all of these prior live streams, all 300 plus of them, there are timestamps in the description so you can see what I was working on, so you can see how I actually try and practice different things, whether it's limb independence or tenors or snare drum or whatever, as well as some of the things that I talk about. I have several different chats up on my other monitor, and people often ask me some questions. Because I've been drumming since 1998, because I have a bachelor's, master's, PhD in music education, and I've taught every single grade kindergarten through doctoral student, I have a range of performing and teaching experience. So people often ask me questions. I will put them in this playlist, the Drumming Tips playlist that has nearly 100 videos and over 13 hours of free tips that I have learned over the decades of myself drumming and teaching. So if you're interested in learning more about how to drum and how to improve your drumming, there's a lot of different topics in here. Now, some of these, the titles, are the first thing that I talk about, and then there's other things that I talk about in there. So just check the timestamps in the description of each one of these videos to see what I am talking about. Now, in my home tab of YouTube, this is where you can find all of the things organized alphabetically. So we've got a bunch of different chop exercises inside of this section. I've got gaming stuff because I'm a nerd, but we can ignore that. I've got over 1,000 grid variations, so many, in fact, that if you go to the right, it doesn't show you all of the playlists. So you actually have to click right here, and it shows you all the different grid playlists for triplet grid, 16th note grid, and some wacky ones like Herto grid variations. A bunch of limb independence exercises, which I'll work on tomorrow, as well as a bunch of different charts. Almost 500 marching bass drum exercises, a bunch of drumline cadences, some computer science stuff, because, again, I'm a nerd. We've got hundreds of technique videos. Click to expand to see all of the different technique exercises. Today, I'm going to be working out of the Rudiment Builders playlist, and I'm going to be working out of the Flam Tap Builder exercise. But there's a bunch of other stuff here to help you work on your rolls, or your timing, or your flams, or whatever. And then here at the bottom, under the tips and lessons, where you can find the 13 plus hours of tips, some scripted lessons, which are more like condensed than what I do from responding to the live streams, speaking of, as well as the live stream recordings. Whatever fancies you. Now, I am going to get motivated here with Shia LaBeouf. So Shia LaBeouf is going to help me to get ready to work on my Flam taps. So we're going to hide him because of copyright. Don't worry, he's here in spirit. Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow, so just do it. Make your dreams come true. Just do it. Some people dream success, while you're going to wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not going to stop there. No, what are you waiting for? Do it! Hours late. Just do it! Yes, you can! Just do it! If you're tired of starting over, stop giving up. Yeah, Shia LaBeouf, I am tired of starting over. Thanks for the words of wisdom. Now that I'm motivated, I'm going to warm up. Now, the way I'm going to warm up, this, by the way, is at the top of every one of the YouTube videos. It just links you to my website. It's /drum if you're on the vertical. But it shows you, like, all the 2,000 plus exercises organized neater than what I can do on YouTube. So whatever you prefer, home tab or here, doesn't matter. It still takes you to the same spot. I'm going to warm up with a chug variation. And this chug variation is with Flam accents. So chug and Flam taps. Okay, so this can be found in the Chug playlist right here, boop, underneath the chop section. And there's a variety of different exercises in here, a bunch of different Chug variations. Oh, and the ones that say members first, they're all scheduled to release for free. So like this, not behind like a permanent paywall. The thing is, I've got like, I just checked today, 471 videos scheduled to release. So it might take more than a year for some of these play-alongs to come out. But don't worry, there's still literally over 2,000 play-alongs to keep you busy, so it will come out for free. I do gift free memberships at the start of every single month, so you might get one. Otherwise, it's 99 cents, so it's less than $1. That's the cheapest I could possibly make it on YouTube. Like, I literally can't make it any cheaper than that. But if you don't want to pay for it, don't worry about it. Like I don't put stuff behind a paywall. That's just like an optional thing if you want it. Woo wee! Look at that resolution. 1080, please. Thanks. Now, in all of these thousands of free play-alongs, if you go into the timestamps in the description, you can jump to whatever BPM you want. For example, if I want to start off at 100 beats a minute, I can. If the BPM ends with a 0 or a 5, it gives you a few seconds to get yourself set up. So I'm using this to just get myself warmed up, getting the hands going. Then we'll stretch and massage. And then I'll show you an exercise that's great for working on flam taps. We'll slow them down. And I'll talk about 3 different types of flam taps. And then we'll chop out. And then I'll play Uncharted. Feel like this is off center. There we go. Let's go faster. Just trying to get the blood going. 120? Sure. Let's do 130, and then we'll stretch and massage. All the way down to here. Boop. Click. My stick is like slowly sliding out of my hand. Stop. Sweet. We're going to stretch and massage now. First stretch that I like to do, you take your sticks, you hold them so your palms are facing up. You pull in. You pull in. You push through. It looks weird. It stretches the side of your forearms. It's great. 10 out of 10. Would stretch again. In fact, I'll even do it tomorrow. Whoa. I know. Go back out the way you came. If you do traditional, rotate and hold the one end of the extreme, then rotate, hold the other end of the extreme, like 20 to 30 seconds. But because I don't play traditional anymore, and I don't do like 4 mallets anymore, I don't need to worry about that. Instead, I'm going to stretch the underside of the forearm. You could do it like this. Ah. You could do it 2 fingers at a time. Ah. Gives it a deeper stretch. You could do it on your pad like this, or you could do it on the wall. The lower you go, the deeper the stretch. Let's do that one. Oh, yeah. Ooh-wee. That feels great. Now I'm going to stretch the top side of the forearm. So you could do it like this. Ah. You could do it 2 fingers and then 2 fingers. You could do this one on your leg like I did the other day. Or you could do it on the wall. The higher you go, the deeper your stretch. So this is stretching the top side of the forearms, whereas we were just stretching the underside. Okay? Oh, yeah. Sweet. Now let's stretch. Thumb to thumb. This is our last stretch, and then we'll do a quick massage routine, and then we'll get back into refining our flam taps with the Flam Tap Builder exercise underneath the Rudiment Builder playlist, which is inside the technique section. You can find that on my home tab of YouTube or at jaredoleary.com/drum. Again, under technique. There's 375 technique exercises in there. And more to come. Isn't that right? Oh, you look cute. Cute as heck. Ooh, ASMR. Each one of these stretches is just doing finger to finger, so it goes twice as fast. But if you really want to take your time, you could just sit there and like only stretch one pinky. But you know, optimizing here. Efficiency. And now we're going to do our massage routine. So I'm doing thumb on top, fingers underneath, massaging up and down the forearm, trying to relax everything. You might need a massage or even stretch out your shoulders, maybe even your biceps or your triceps. Your biceps, especially if you're doing traditional, you'll notice that when you do that, your bicep moves up and down as you rotate your forearm, rotate the wrist. So you might need a stretch massage up there. But I do like a stretch routine and whatnot for my upper body shoulders before this, doing a little workout. So I don't model that on the stream, but just FYI, you might need to do that. Tension up here creeps down into tension here, which creeps to here, which creeps into here, which creeps into... Just kidding. They're all interconnected. And now, massaging the hand with the thumb, the back side of the hand with the fingers. So just kind of work your way around. You want a better view of what this looks like from your POV as well as like from the front, and with some more explanation. There's a video under the drumming lessons playlist on YouTube that is called "This Hand Routine Saved My Drumming." It gives you all these stretches and massages with a little explanation of how to do it. And the camera angles are a little bit better than what I can do with these streams and whatnot. So check that out. If you're interested in it. Wow, I can't speak. Last one, massage base the tip of each one of the fingers. At least 2 times, maybe 3, maybe 40. Whatever you need to do. Each finger is going to feel different every day. Like my fingers so far feel great. But some days, like if I hit the bag too hard, like the day or two before, tie bag, then it like tightens up the fingers. So I need to spend more time massaging it. But, you know, every day is different. If you're writing too much with a pencil or typing too much, that can also impact how your fingers feel. Each one of your hands will feel differently. Blah, 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 blah. Whoa. I love you. Goodbye. Okay. We just played through this Chug variation with Flam accents and Flam taps. But again, there's a bunch more Chug variations in here and over 2,000 more exercises here on my YouTube channel on the home tab. All organized alphabetically into different content headers. Just click on the header and it'll expand. But the first link at the top of every one of these play-alongs, jaredoleary.com/drum. This takes you to here. So this is where you can find things organized neater. So I'm going to go down to the technique section, and the Rudiment Builders playlist right here is what I will be working out of. So there's a variety of exercises that like help you build your paradiddle speed, or help you to build up your cheeses, or like what we did the other day, the inverts or cheese inverts, etc. So the one that we're going to be working on is a Flam Tap Builder. And we'll go into the timestamp and I'll show you what it looks like when you play through these slow. Right here, that's great. Okay. By the way, I'm gonna turn this into like a little short that like shows where people can find this. I'm gonna just do a little quick recap here, so my apologies. But then we'll get into the playing here in a moment. So there are 3 different types of Flam taps, and this exercise can work on all 3 of them. So the different types of Flam taps, we have a Flam tap where the second note is also an accent, so where the second note is a decrescendo, so we have 3 distinct heights for each one of the notes. So you're going... So it's like kind of in between the grace note height and the accent height. And then where it is a full-on tap for the second note. So regardless of what type of Flam tap you want to work on, this exercise, the Flam Tap Builder, is a great way to be able to work on it. So it starts off with a little check that's just accent tap, just on the right hand. And then we play what your right hand plays when playing a Flam tap. So when you're playing... That's what your hand is playing while playing a flam tap. And what we're doing here is we're layering in one left hand at a time per measure. So this measure right here adds in the first left hand for 4 counts, and then adds in the next left hand for 4 counts. And then finally, we get the composite, the flam tap right here. And you can play this again with the second note as an accent, the second note as a midway point, or the second note as a tap height, whatever you want to do for your 3 different types of flam taps. You can work on it with this. And then what's happening is we are subtracting one right hand at a time. So for this measure, it gets rid of the right hand right here. For the next measure, it gets rid of the grace note right hand right here. And then for the next measure, there are no right hands at all. It's all on the left hand. This is what your left hand plays while playing a flam tap. And then it just goes into a left hand check pattern. So this particular exercise helps you to work on your flam taps. But there are many more in the Rudiment Builders playlist that helps you to work on like your inverts or your cheese inverts or your paradiddles or your flam drags or whatever you want. And all of these can be found on my home tab on YouTube or by going to jaredoleary.com/drum, where there's over 2,000 free exercises that you can use to improve your drumming, as well as over 13 hours of drumming tips and lessons. Cool. Advertisement over. We'll turn that into a short. You'll see that coming out probably next week. Stay tuned. Now let's actually play through it. Thank you for your patience. Go for it. No, you don't want to do it? Okay, fine. Fine. Flam tap builder. Nope, we're going to start at 40. I recommend starting at least at 40 when working on this. Any exercise. I've been drumming probably longer than you've been alive, and I still slow these things down to 40. It helps you out. So you can refine your technique and go one click at a time. Feels quiet. Quiet. Stay nice and relaxed while working on this. I'm going to do the decrescendo style of flam tap. Work on which one you want to improve. Now, the reason why I'm working on this is because the other day when I was working on my technique, I was working on inverts. And when I finished it, I worked on a float drag variation, and it has a flam taps to make it so you play it off the left. And when I was speeding it up, the flam taps were slowing down, and so I was like, okay, I could refine those. Hence why we're working on it. So this is a direct result of the last few minutes of just chopping out. It gave me data for things to work on, in this case, my flam taps. Oops. Off by a measure. I'm so sorry. Flawless. Three. 42. The meaning the meaning of life. That is the answer to it. I can't speak this morning. Brain, why ain't you working? I was too busy thinking about what I wanted to say next, and it screwed up my playing. Lost count there. Or is off by a measure, or a beat rather. Man, brain, wake up. No. Okay, fine. No. Just one of those days. Again, taking the decrescendo approach to Flam tap, but there's 2 other ways to play it. It's all about what you do with that second note. 100% up to you. As long as you're intentional with it and consistent across the line. Left out, one right hand. I can't talk and play today. It's one of those days. Happens to everybody. Sometimes the drum lines that I was teaching, like a couple of the players will just, just have an off day like I'm having right now. And just like completely negatively impact things. So I had to like adjust the teaching strategies and whatnot, the pedagogies being used. All right, let's focus on other things that we can focus on. Let's do some things to refocus our attention. That's okay. That's normal. Depending on what you're doing with the second note, whether it's an accent, a midway point, or tap, you need to figure out which one you're doing and then be consistent with that and try and aim for that second note to be at the height that you want it at. But that third note is always going to be at a grace note height. So you don't want to have Flam taps where the grace notes are like really up high. Keep it low. Again, either decrescendo that, make it 2 accents and tap, or a tap on the second note. Now this exercise with it starting on one hand, moving towards the composite Flam tap and moving away from towards the other hand, it makes it so that you can refine your hands in isolation and together as a composite, as opposed to disconnected from each other. So we're layering in slowly to make sure it doesn't change what you're doing in your hands. Let me actually unpack that a little bit. Let me get some water first. Feeling parched, which is the name of the song that is the intro and outro for my streams that I wrote. Enjoy. I wrote and synthesized all of it, actually. Okay, so let's talk about this. Hello. So when people work on a rudiment and they like isolate hands out into like, here's what my right hand plays while playing a Flam tap, like, etc. What they'll often do is like just work on the right hand, then just the left hand, and then do the composite. So it might do this measure, then this measure for the left hand, and then you'd play this measure right here. Now, the reason why I've got these ones in between is because we're slowly layering in one hand at a time. As you slowly layer in one hand at a time, you want to make sure that this hand does not change. So when I add in my first grace note, or the first left hand accent, I don't want it to change what my right hand plays right here as I'm layering in a hand and then eventually getting rid of a hand. This also makes it so that you are not having to go off of memory to hear like, well, what does my right hand sound like? What does my left hand sound like? How can I make sure that they sound the same? So by slowly making the composite rhythm, the flam tap, it makes it so that you can compare the hands as you're combining them. So some of the students that I would work with, they would like be able to play it off the right hand, be able to play it off the left hand, and then as soon as they put it together, then all of a sudden things fall apart. So if you slow this down and you slowly layer in one hand at a time, then you can improve with it. So this particular exercise goes from 20 beats a minute all the way up to 160 beats a minute. So I'd highly recommend starting slow like I am, started at 40 beats a minute, and slowly speed it up as you refine things to make it so that as you layer in a hand or subtract hands, it does not change the way your hands feel or sound. Cool. Let's play again. Stay relaxed. When you say a flam paradiddle, do you mean a flam is on one, or a flam for every single note of a paradiddle? So are you going flamadiddle, 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 flamadiddle? Or are you going flam, 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 flam? Yeah, I got an exercise that's perfect for that. But there's a huge delay on Instagram, so I'll play through one more rep, and then I'll see what your response is. Is it a flam on one or flam on 1, 2, 3, 4? Good question, by the way. Hello! What is that? You're number one. Good job. What happened? Flam on one? Alright, sweet. I do remember, Armin. Thanks for stopping in. You said you were working on Uncharted 3 at the hardest difficulty. Sweet. GG's. Congrats on completing it. That's awesome. Okay. Now let me answer your question on Instagram. Bing bong. All right, so we're gonna go back here. So since you're on Instagram, actually, let me show you. So this link right here, jaredoleary.com/drum, it should be linked on my Instagram to take you to this page. So I'll show you on here. Since you're on a vertical feed, it just makes it easier to show you what I'm gonna demonstrate. So if you scroll down to the technique section here, there's two different types of playlists that can really help you to work on a rudiment. What I'd recommend doing for what you're talking about with a flam on one when doing a paradiddle is to do slow, fast, slow. So if you're trying to improve a rudiment, you want to be able to speed it up. Like let's say a flam with paradiddle, so flam on one. You might get to a point where you just can't play any faster, and you're like, I can't do this, and then you stop right there. There's an exercise that can help out with being able to speed up a rudiment. It's called slow, fast, slow. And there's a few different variations with quarter note, with eighth notes, swung eighth notes, triplet, 16th notes, or swung 16th notes. So if I want to work on a paradiddle with a flam on one, I would go into the 16th note section right here. And you pick a BPM range. So, for example, if I can play a paradiddle with a flam on one at 100 beats a minute, I would possibly pick 40 to 105 to 40 using the timestamps in the description. So when I go to this, what it's going to do now is it's going to count off and start playing 16th notes at 40 beats a minute. It does it for 4 counts, and it slowly will go up 1 click at a time per measure, so every 4 counts, all the way up to whatever my maximum tempo is. In this case, it's 105 beats a minute. So it'll go all the way up to 105. It's going to hold it there for 4 measures, and then it'll go 1 click at a time slower, all the way back down to the starting speed, which is 40 beats a minute. So if you're trying to improve the speed of like a paradiddle with a flam on one, or any kind of rudiment, maybe just a normal paradiddle, start slow, using slow, fast, slow, pick your maximum desired tempo, and use this to just slowly speed it up, hold it at whatever your maximum tempo is, and then slowly slow it back down. This will allow you to really refine your technique and also make it so that you're just sitting there playing the same rudiment for like a few minutes straight, but it's getting progressively faster and then progressively slower. So it's not as boring as just sitting there with a metronome at 1 BPM and just sitting there and hammering it out. So if you want to improve a rudiment, I highly recommend checking out the Slow, Fast, Slow playlist with any of these different subdivisions. Or if you go back down into the technique section with the thousands of exercises in here, there's an opposite version where it's fast, slow, fast. So if you want to like refine a rudiment, like work on the technique for it, this one, it's the same idea with the subdivisions, but it starts fast, it slows it down so you can really refine the technique, and then it speeds it back up to whatever your starting tempo is. So it could be like 100 or 200 or whatever you need to do. So that's what I recommend to work on the paradiddle with the flam on one, is use one of those exercises, preferably slow, fast, slow. That's what I'd recommend at least. But, you know, you do you. And you can, again, find it here since you're on Instagram /drum. It should be in my Instagram link, I think. Let's find out. Instagram. Me. So when you click here, it's this one, the drumming playlist. So it'll take you to /drum. So that's what I recommend for that. Your high school never taught you how to read music properly? Any tips for learning those different patterns? Yeah, I do actually. Let's do that. So, where are you at? Nope. Okay. You are very welcome. Doodle, feel free to like stop by in future streams, or if you just leave a comment in any of the videos, I do check and respond to all of the comments. Unless it's like somebody harassing me, I just like block them and move on with my life. But like, if you leave a comment on any of these videos, it should notify me and I should respond. If I don't respond in like 48 hours, I'm either dead or like I didn't see it. So just like leave another one and try and ping me again. So Edwards, one of the things that I recommend checking out, you can find this under the technique section on YouTube. If you go all the way down to the bottom of like the technique area, there's this timing transitions play along. So these play alongs have a lot of the rhythms that you're talking about, but they might not be out yet. Okay, they're gonna come out. So I think in a week or two, it should start doing these, because it's like releasing a new one like every 4 days, I think, for this type of exercise. But it'll go through here, and then it'll start doing like eighth notes into 3/2, and then eighth notes into 5/4, and then 7/4, and then 9/8, and then it'll do it with triplets, and then it'll do it with 16th notes and quintuplets, etc. So it's going to have like all these different patterns. So what's happening is you're like, if we go into triplet 5/4, this rhythm is going to go in and out of these two different rhythms, the triplet and the 5/4 pattern. So what I would recommend doing in order to actually be able to read through this and like think through it is to think of it in halftime. So if you're playing like triplets, triplet, 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 you're thinking of this as opposed to 1, 2, 3, 4. You're thinking 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so you're counting 6 notes basically with every left foot. Triplet, 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 triplet. If you're marking time, do this. Triplet, triplet. But now instead of doing 6 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you're doing 5 notes for every single left foot. And what you're trying to do is to make it so that they're even. So if you're playing like a 5-let, you don't want to have it like weird like this or like weird like this, or etc. You want to have even amount of spacing between each one of the notes and line it up specifically with your left foot while you are working on 5/4 or 7/4 or whatever it is that you're going to do for this. So when these play-alongs come out, this should really help you out with being able to work on those like odd over 4 or over 2 or over 3 different patterns. But think of the half note while doing this, and that can help you out with it. One of the ways that you can practice this is to also just like take a metronome and set it to half note. So while you're playing through it, you would just hear beep, beep, beep while you're playing it, even though you might play beep, 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 etc. So you can do that until these like different timing transition stuff comes out. But yeah, they're all scheduled to release, and there's a ton of them. It's going through like basically all the basic variations of like literally like a 6-tuplet into 5/4, or a 7-septuplet, so a 7-lit into 9/8, like all these different things. And then there's some more versions that are actually like moving in and out of like 7/4 with, let me show you, different types of rhythmic patterns. So like quarter notes, eighth notes, triplets, and 16th notes. So it just keeps going back and forth between these and the 7/4 pattern while doing this. And then on the second page, it's just going like 1 quarter note, 7/4. Eighth notes, 7/4. Triplets, 7/4. 16th notes, 7/4. So like this exercise will also be able to help you out with that when going through it. These are weird. These are difficult, but hopefully these play-alongs help, and hopefully like just like using the half note on it will also help. If it weren't for me, you'd be so lost. Yeah. That's the problem with like, it's great that I have like over 2,000 free exercises on my home tab, but if you look at this as like, it can be a bit overwhelming. But like, I hope these live streams help people to be able to just like ask me questions like you're doing on Instagram. Or just like leave a comment like, hey, I want to work on my Flam taps, etc. But there is a video that's at the top of my website, this one. So this is actually linked to a stream. It's going to be loud, so let me mute myself. So this stream where it says start here, there's actually timestamps in the description that shows a bunch of different things. Like if you want to be able to work on your timing, go to the how to improve timing. If you want to work on your rolls, go to how to improve rolls. So I give it like a demonstration of like all these different exercises that work on different things like marching bass drum or tenor drums or your chops or whatever. So each one of these sections shows you how to do that. So I spend several minutes talking about how to improve your rolls and walk through like several different exercises from beginner to more complex stuff. So hopefully this can help out. But I'm making a ton of back-end changes like on my YouTube channel. You notice that the home tab is much more organized than it was previously. So I'll continue to refine things and try and make it easier to find all this content. But hopefully this helps, and hopefully the ability to ask during a live stream or in the comments also helps as well. You had to give up on some pieces because it has a 5/3 rhythm. Yeah, I'm like, it's one of those things that people genuinely don't really teach much. Like I learned it only because of like some of the weird, it may have been Cerrone, Portraits and Rhythm. When I first started learning that book in high school, like there were some interesting patterns, but like it wasn't taught because like a lot of the percussion parts in high school in particular were just not very interesting, if I'm being candid. And they didn't have that kind of stuff. So when you get to like a DCI exercise or like something like De La Cluse or Cerrone where it's got some like interesting timing stuff, it can come out of left field. But another way that you can work on it, Edwards, if one of these play-alongs, like the timing transition, doesn't have one of the transitions you want to work on, is just write it out in like Sibelius or Finale or MuseScore or whatever you need to do so you can hear, well, what does this sound like? And then you can adjust the tempo and have some different rhythms going in and out of the pattern that you're working on. But really focus on lining up your feet with it. And for these like over 2 pattern or over 2 count stuff, really focus on lining up with the left foot, and the right foot kind of goes on autopilot while you're like lining up the downbeat and just making it so that there's even spacing. David, I see your question. Trying to play lower. Yeah, actually, I've got an exercise that's great for that. Excellent questions. Sorry, I was slow to respond to that. I was responding to Edward still on Instagram, but David, so underneath the technique section, right here is an accent tap exercises. So if you go to this playlist, there's a bunch of different exercises in here that are great for working on your accent tap. What I'd actually recommend, if you scroll towards here, are the tap relaxer exercises. to work on. So there's a variety of them. There's like 2 accents that are up, 2 accents that are down. There's also like a triplet pattern or like a 16th note pattern. So like let's say you're working on like 16th notes and you want to work on relaxing your taps. So the tap relaxer exercise with the 4s can really help out with this. So if you go into this, it's a very simple exercise where you're starting at tap height at 3 inches for a whole measure, and then you're doing a slight emphasis for this measure. So you're doing 4-inch accents and 3-inch taps, and then the next measure you're raising up the accent to 6 inches, and then to 9, and then all the way to 12 with 3-inch taps, and then it just goes back the way it came. So it goes back down to 9 inches, and then 6 inches, 4 inches, and finally into 3-inch taps. So this really focuses on staying nice and relaxed with your taps and slowly raising up that accent while keeping the tap nice and low, and then lowering it back down. So this exercise, when you're working on it, you can go into the timestamps, and you can go at 20 beats a minute or all the way up to 160. You could do this with just your right hand, with just your left hand. You could do this as alternating, or you could do this my favorite way as double stops. So both hands at the same time, which allow you to both see what your hands are doing at the same time without having to like memorize, well, my right hand does this, my left hand does this, and go off your memory for comparing it, but also hear it. So if you hear like a flammy cha sound, then you'll know that one of your hands is faster or slower than the other one. So you're trying to line up not only like this the velocity, but also the heights and whatnot with what you're doing. So double stops, great way to work on relaxing your taps while doing this. But there's more variations of this in this accent tap exercises playlist. So you can do this with 3s, you can do this with just like 1 accent, 1 tap, or you can do 2 that are up, 2 are down, blah, 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 blah. But there's also an accent relaxer, which is the opposite of what I was just demonstrating. So if you go into this one, the accent relaxer for 4s, this one starts at 12 inches, and it slowly lowers the taps for each one of the measures. So in this case, is an emphasis right here. 12-inch accents with an 11-inch tap, and then 9-inch tap, and then 6-inch, and then finally 3 inches, and then it just goes back the way that it came. So this one focuses on relaxing your accents, while the other one focuses on relaxing your taps. But both of these types of exercises are a great way to be able to just like keep everything at distinct heights while staying nice and relaxed, without like making it so that my taps are always at like 9. But David, when you're working on it, go slow, like really slow. Like when I'm working on stuff like the Flam taps, which I'll get back to here in a moment, I'm playing it starting at 40 for a reason. So it really helps you out when doing that. But great question. Let's go back to here. All right, 49. Oh, it's muted. And again, I'm using the decrescendo Flam tap for right now. You could use a different one. That's okay. Whatever you want to do. You are very welcome. Thank you for the great question. And just to recap, the accent tap playlist is under the technique section. Whether you're on my website or on the home tab of YouTube, just go to the technique section near the bottom, and it's in the accent taps playlist. And there's a lot more good exercises to work on your accent taps in there. Another one that you could do is also in the endurance and speed playlist are like the tap pyramids, like 16th note pyramid. It's just basically all taps the entire time. So you can work on building up the control of the low notes. Or even stick control. So if you work on stick control at like 3 inches, ooh, late, like at tap height, that could be a great way to work on it. And there's a playlist for stick control variations. I got something for everything, with more to come. If I don't have an exercise for it, I'm probably working on it. Always writing more. I think I checked it this morning. I think there's like 471 exercises currently scheduled to release in the future. Oops. My brain was elsewhere. I screwed up. It's the theme of today's stream. So I'm going to get this to 54, so 2 more reps, and then I'm going to start speeding it up to see what happens when I go faster, so I can figure out what to keep working on for this. So I'll kind of use this to actually chop out. Last rep, and then I'll go up by 10s. Sweet. So let's go to 65. Slightly late. Slightly late on that first left-hand accent right there. I'm so sorry. 75. So as I get faster, we'll see what changes with my hands, and that'll basically give me some ideas for what I can work on next time I do a technique stream in 2 days. Tomorrow's Limb Independence. Mm-hmm. 85. Click. Now, if you click on something that doesn't end with a BPM with a 0 or a 5, so like 84, then it'll just immediately tap off. But a 5 or a 0 will give you a few seconds to get ready. So you can pick up your sticks. What am I working on today? Flam taps. What are you working on today, Snowy? Yeah, so I worked on them slow, and now I'm speeding them up just to see what happens when I get to my breaking point with my technique. So we're going to try and analyze it. / chop out. 95. Again, this exercise is written for one of the 3 different types of the flam taps. But whatever you do with the second note, whether it's an accent, a midway point, or a tap, you can still use this exercise to work on that. So I'm doing the decrescendo version for funsies, but you can do whatever version you want. Triplet grid flam on 1, accent on 2. Nice. Triplet grid is fun. Mm-hmm. 115. Click. I don't know why, but I'm getting like country hoedown type of vibes. I don't know if that's an inappropriate term. I just know it as a musical term, so apologies if it's not appropriate. Just realized it after I said it. It might be slang. I don't know. Yeah, so the left hand's starting to flatten out a little bit. That's not ideal. But again, we're just collecting data here. Collecting data. Let me show you something cool. So, this idea. If you play 3 strokes, and you slowly, woo, it turns into flam taps. And then, woo, it turns back into 3 strokes. Let me see if I can do it. You can do the same thing with double strokes, actually. So you can do doubles. When you do 2 at a time, and you slowly morph them like this, modulate, then what it's going to do is turn into like Swisses, and then it switches back into double strokes. So it's a fun little thing that you can try. It's just like take like a sticking pattern, like 3s or 2s or whatever, and just slowly just kind of like try and like do that. Good luck cleaning that as a line, but you know, you do you. Okay, let's try it a little bit faster. 145. Boop. Interesting. So the left thumb is slightly moving its like distribution of the contact point towards the tip. Whoop. This is an over exaggeration of what was happening, but I don't want that. I want it to maintain contact without it going to here, because this is going to cause some tension along the arm and the wrist. So I don't want to do that. So I'm trying to stay relaxed while doing this. And it's slightly changing. So, you know, that's something that I could work on for next time, is like trying to make sure that my thumb doesn't change its position as we speed up. But that gave me some data for some things that I could work on next time with my playing. This exercise is great. Highly recommend it. Now, all of these exercises, all 2,000 plus of them, are found on my home tab of YouTube. You just scroll down a little bit, and you go to here. All the chop exercises are under chops. Gaming stuff, because I'm a nerd. Under the grid variations, you have to click for more. There's so many of them that it doesn't show you all of them on YouTube. So like if you go to the right, you can't go any further, but it stops at flam drag variations. So if you click on the header, this shows you all 1,000 plus grid variations. We got over 400 for triplet, almost 600 for 16th note. And then if you scroll all the way down here, we got 37 wacky ones like hurt the grid or accent only or tap only, whatever you want to do. So there's a lot of grid variations. Just focus on a rudiment on one. Like Snowy was mentioning on Instagram. Just focus on flam drag on one or diddle on one or whatever rudiment you want to work on one. And there's a few different variations of that for triplet and 16th note. That'll keep you busy for a while. And then you can worry about the wacky stuff. But for now, just focus on those. They're great for refining a rudiment or working on your technique, etc. Limb independence. There's a ton of exercises in here. Tomorrow we'll work on limb independence on the drum kit. We've also got a bunch of marching bass exercises, almost 500 of them. Some drumline cadences, the full score, computer science stuff, because again, I'm a nerd. We've got a ton of technique exercises. This one you also have to click to expand to show you all of them. But if you scroll down, there's stuff to work on. Your double beat, your fulcrum, your rudiments, like the Flam tap builder is inside of this rudiment builder playlist, your rolls, whatever you want to work on. And there's over 13 hours of free drumming tips, as well as lessons, and then hundreds of live streams with timestamps so you can see what I was talking about or what I was working on. Can I play all 1,000 plus of them? No. I mean, I could. If I slow these down to like 20, then sure, I could sight read through them, but I haven't worked up all of them. But all the basics that like rudiment on one or rudiment on two, etc. Like I've gone through all of those with the different variations: forward, backwards, one accent, two accent. Some of them are better than others, obviously, but there's a lot of wacky ones. It's just for people who want to try the goofy stuff. Go for it, but focus on the basics. In general, when you're working on stuff, 50 to 60% of your time, I'd highly recommend spending on technique stuff. Refine the basics. Go slow. I'm doing it, and I've been drumming since 1998. You can do it too. And then 30 to 40% of your time-ish, maybe spend on grid variations. Again, focus on rudiment on one. And then maybe 10, 20% at most of your time, you can work on chop stuff. Too many people focus on the chop stuff, but I promise you that's not what makes the line. It's the focus on technique. And grid variations, by the way, focuses on technique. So really you're doing the vast majority of your time on technique. And then just a little bit on the chop stuff. Your chops come with better technique. Not with just playing fast 24/7. I say that as somebody who's marched high school, college, and DCI, and who has taught for a long time. Every grade, kindergarten through doctoral students. So, wide range of experience. If you like this stuff, just share it with other drummers, or gamers, or computer science nerds, whatever you want to do. If you don't like this stuff, it's free. So, you don't have to pay for it. Unless you want the early access. That's 99 cents, but that's the cheapest I can make it. If I can make it for a penny, I would, but I can't. But anyways, I'm going to call it here. I'm going to get ready for some Uncharted. So if you want to see the prior streams for that, if you click on the gaming header, and then you scroll down to Uncharted, we've played through the first 3 games, and I'm currently about halfway through the 4th game, so you can check those out in this playlist if that interests you. But I hope you all have a good rest of your day. I appreciate you all stopping in, and we'll be back tomorrow working on Limb Independence. So, goodbye. Goodbye.